Thanks. All right, lightning talk. I want to give a lightning talk. It's about the shifts in attention and ad spend over time. So before I get started, just a real quick poll of the crowd. Who here works primarily in TV or quite a bit in TV? Anybody? TV? Okay. All right. What about print? Any printer? All right, print. Newspapers? Anybody? Radio? Also radio. Okay. How about digital? Anything internet, online? Okay. All right. And how about billboards? Out of home? A little bit? Cool. All right. So I want to talk about how attention and dollars have been shifting between those categories of media over the last 18 to 20 years and the projections going forward. All right, so first, TV. I have an antiquated TV in here, obviously. I think certainly in our lifetimes, even mine, and I'm probably one of the older people here, I've never watched TV on that TV, but the point is that over the history of TV, it has changed quite a bit. So you used to turn on the TV and you would watch effectively whatever came on. It was linear. And it just went from one program to the other. But nowadays, there's a lot of other options for you, right? So there's Netflix, there's smart TVs, connected TVs, there's Roku, Hulu. There's a lot of different ways to get that programming. So when we say TV, there's a lot of caveats that go along with that. It's not just TV. There's, you have to really kind of identify, well, what kind of TV? So TV itself is shifting. Same with radio. So radio was very linear back in the day, and it's still very linear in nature in some cases, like Sirius satellite radio, which is what I have in my car. I'm listening to whatever they're playing. Now I've got a lot of different selections, and most of them are commercial free. So I'm trading dollars instead of time and attention to get the programming that I want, the music that I want. But it's linear still. It's just delivered in a different fashion. There's also, I don't know what you call these things in the top right. I guess if it's a smart TV on the previous slide, this would be a smart radio. But you have a lot of functionality where you can play things like your podcast, and you can play your own music through your car radio. For the most part, radio is listened to in cars. Right? I mean, I know we probably have them in our homes somewhere, although actually I don't have a radio in my home. Some people probably do, but if you're going to listen to the radio, it's usually on the commute to work. So I mentioned billboards before when I was polling the group. Billboards have changed drastically. Right? So they used to be, you bought real estate by the week or the month, and you got your offering printed, and it was plastered there for as long as you wanted it, as long as you were going to pay for, and it's changed drastically. So this is an example where it's changing literally by the minute, digital, and it's programmatic at this point. So you can, instead of buying one billboard in one location for a period of time, you can take that same amount of money and you can spread it across billboards. So you're buying fractional attention. So this has changed, and then I'm sure you've seen these digital billboards where they will change the ad every couple of seconds. And the faster you're going, based on where you are on a highway or a local road, the faster it'll change those ads. So generally speaking, and this is data from Statistica, how do you say that? Statista? I don't know. Generally speaking, the shifts in digital versus traditional, probably no big surprise here. A lot of the attention and a lot of the time, by the way, this is time in minutes here. This is the average time in minutes, is shifting from traditional to digital. Now, this data goes up through 2017. That's the most that I have, but I'm sure you would probably guess that it's either intersected or actually crossed over at this point. So digital in the last 6 years has really gained a lot of ground on traditional. It means that eyeballs, attention, are going to digital instead of traditional. Now, the bellwether of traditional media is TV. Now, they were the powerhouse. They've been the powerhouse for 70 years since TV was introduced. And this is the shift by age group of TV watching time. So if you look on the right-hand side here, clearly you can see there's dips from 2012. But on the right-hand side, and hopefully you can see it in the back, we have age groups. So at the very bottom here, we have the age group of 18 to 24, and then right below that in red is the change in percentage. So for 18 to 24-year-olds, there's a 39% decrease in the last 4 years. Now, if you're going after an older demographic, 65 plus, you're in luck with TV. That's the place to be. That's actually grown by 2%. Yeah. But if you're going for anyone younger than 65, it's a shrinking market. All right. Now, we don't do a lot of TV. We do, just for one client, they asked us to take over their TV ad spend. That's not our specialty. We're marketers by nature more than digital marketers, but we're going to go where the eyeballs are and where it makes sense. So if we got a client that was, say, for senior living, we'd probably recommend TV. That's a good place to be. For everyone else, maybe not so much. So that's us as an agency. But let's see what other agencies are doing. So this is data that we're going to show you from Ad Age. So how many people here subscribe to Ad Age or Ad Week? They're basically the same thing. A couple. All right. So Ad Age it used to be Advertising Age, and they changed to Ad Age, I don't know, at some point years ago. It's a monthly magazine and then a daily email that's all about agency news. So this is marketing and advertising, a lot of advertising. What? Oh. Okay. All right, so what we're going to do is, one at a time, we're going to show trends of the change by category of media over the last, well, it's really the last 18 years and then projecting forward by 2. All right, so we're going to start with newspaper. So any predictions about how newspaper is done? Worse than TV is right. They've been hammered. We've seen this locally. Right, the Virginia pilot got purchased for $34 million. Out of the $34 million, $14 million was for real estate. So that means that the business itself, that had been around for 153 years, was sold for $20 million. 153 years of hard work, and it was sold for $20 million. Now, certainly there was a peak at some point, and wealth was extracted along the way. But it's kind of a shame that it was only for $20 million for the business. And they've since merged with the Daily Press, and they've unionized. Right? And this is probably why. They've lost 80% of their revenue in the last 2 decades. That's a huge hit. It's hard to survive that. Magazines, also print, obviously, they've taken a hit. So 63% decline in over a 20-year span. Now, I subscribe to magazines, but every magazine that I subscribe to has an email newsletter as well. So, and most of the content is delivered through the newsletters, the email newsletters, not through the printed magazine. And frankly, the printed magazine usually has the same articles that I already read from the email newsletter. Radio. So radio, to put it in context, radio was the king of media before TV emerged post-World War II around 1950 or so. And they got hammered. They got hammered when TV came out. The whole industry just went to crap. Well, in the last 20 years, or in a 20-year span, they're going to lose almost 40% of their ad revenue. It's pretty surprising. But it is what it is. All right, next, TV. So TV, any guesses? Crushing it. All right, so TV was crushing it. I'm not exactly sure why there was a spike up, but there was a spike down, and then overall it's a negative 8%. Yeah.
Does that include ads on like Hulu and stuff like that? Or is that just traditional TV, like Verizon, Cox, and Comcast?
Debatable. I'd have to drill in more, honestly, to figure it out. If I had to guess, it would be traditional. But like I said in the very beginning, the lines have blurred. What is TV these days? If I'm watching ABC on my phone, which I think they have an app. I know like History Channel, they have an app. Is that TV? Well, technically, if it's on a phone, then it's OTT, over the top. If I'm watching the exact same program, say History Channel, instead of on my phone, but through my smart TV, it's called connected TV. And if I'm watching that program through broadcast, then it's traditional TV. Right? Yeah. So I think you'd really have to drill into each of these lines, if I had to guess. There's more data there for sure. Now, I know for internet there is, which we're going to do in a second. So actually, internet. Internet, a little bit different story. I was surprised by the number. I'm not surprised by the trajectory, but that's obviously a huge number over 20 years. So these other media are dropping, and internet is just gobbling it up. So this is revenue. This is revenue from marketers, from brands. Brands are putting money into internet and taking it away from traditional. That's not saying that these are dead, but that's where the money's going. That's where the eyeballs are going. All right, the very last one, out of home. So out of home is any advertising that you see out of your home and not covered by something else. It's mostly visual. So think billboards, think posters. If I were to walk out here and I see a core sign, that's out of home, basically. Right? All right, how do we think out of home did? Billboards. Up. All right, I'm surprised. Yes, up. This, well, I was surprised by your answer, but I'm also surprised by the data. Up 65% in a 20-year span. That's pretty impressive. I have no idea why, but it's working. Now, maybe it's because with billboards, you can inject digital. And so you have options for programmatic buying. It makes it a lot easier. You can switch out copy, you can switch out images. You could probably even A/B test billboards very, very easily now. So they've adapted very well with the times. How am I doing, Jake? I'm good? Okay. All right. Now, within the internet, I found this breakout this morning, actually, when I was going through my email newsletters. This is from, I think it came from Adweek, and it pointed to eMarketer. So eMarketer is the actual source. But I was surprised that, well, somewhat surprised that mobile was so high as compared to, say, TV. I mean, certainly more than 50, definitely more than 50% of all web pages are viewed on a mobile device now versus a desktop. So even when you're talking about the internet, there's breakouts. So Carl was asking about TV and the breakout there. There's details in all of these numbers. So the internet one, there's a ton of details that we could get into. But mobile is just, it's taken over. So the internet's taken over, mobile's taken over. If you're gonna build a website these days, it really needs to be primarily for mobile. And instead of saying something like mobile responsive, it needs to be desktop responsive. Desktop's the minority, whereas these mobile devices are the majority. Yeah, so it's a different way of thinking. It has to work for the mobile, and then it's nice if it works for desktop effectively. Right? Big change. All right, so takeaways. I've really kind of touched on a lot of these. Attention is certainly moving from traditional and into digital and mobile. The attention, people's attentions, their eyeballs are shifting. The dollars are moving with it. It's going to continue. And traditionals, it's getting hammered. But what I don't know, and what I'll get to it next, is what traditional can offer. So my background has always been with the internet. I'm an internet guy, and I've been doing that for years. So my focus is always on the internet. What I really want to find out is more information about traditional. So from the traditional people here, I have a challenge for you. So for next month, instead of me standing up here, I'd really like someone from TV, print, or radio to come up and provide some of their statistics. So what are the things that we should be thinking about looking at, especially since there's a lot of digital marketers here? From traditional marketing, what would benefit us? As an example, last Marketers Anonymous, a couple of the radio guys came up, and they were telling us that if you advertise on radio, in addition to digital, you get a 30% lift. That was news to me, but I haven't seen the research yet. So anyone who's in TV, radio, newspaper, magazines, anything that would be classified as traditional, whether you do it full-time or you are a marketer in it, I'd love to hear your side of the story. There has to be gold somewhere there, right? It's not all this. There's more to the story. As an example, out of home. Why is it going up, right? I'm guessing. I don't know. I'm not in the out of home marketing business. So if you want to talk, go to talk.marketersanon.com. We'd love to hear your story.